Author D.L. Tillery here, the Mistress of Horror, and welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, how about you press that subscribe button and ring that bell so you know when I'm uploading new videos. Today I'm covering two short horror tales by Junji Ito, one from each of his horror collections. The first one I'm going to cover is The Window Next Door. This one is from the Tombs collection. The second short story that I will be covering is called Fashion Model. That one is from the Shivers collection. Please do check them out. They're both amazingly good. So welcome to Mistress Mood and Candlelight, where I talk about horror books, horror movies, or horror video games while I put on makeup. So today's theme is obviously Junji Ito, because I was just in the mood to read some Junji Ito again. I actually had read Fuchi's story, which is Fashion Model, quite some time ago. I was actually quite happy to read it again, and then I got to read the newer one. I have a good amount of Junji Ito's books, as I love me some Junji Ito. So please do enjoy, and I'll see you on the flip side. Hello everyone, let's get into priming for the premiere. As you know, we're going to be covering two short Junji Ito stories today. Junji, my boy, is just so creepy. So I'm going to be covering two stories from two different books, which is from two different collections of his short stories. The first one that I'm going to talk about is The Window Next Door. It's so creepy. It's very short, but I think with these two that I'm covering, it should cover the whole setting for the Mistress Moon Candlelight show. So let's go ahead and dig in. So our tale starts off with Hiroshi Sakaguchi telling the tale of him and his parents moving. So they're getting a new place, which is very exciting, obviously. But they're getting a new place, and it's a small place to do. They're moving like that because of his father's job, and I guess also they need a cheaper place too. So they're getting a small place, and apparently it really only has one bedroom upstairs, and I suppose a type of room downstairs that his parents sleep in, but it's mostly just the one bedroom upstairs. So he said it is very small. That's what he goes into as the story opens, as he's like preparing to tell the tale of what The Window Next Door is all about. So right off the bat with the name, it's already kind of like, you know, it's Junji, so you know it's going to be creepy, and he did not disappoint. So before we get into the complete start of the story, besides that little opening, I was obviously interested in any of Junji Ito's stories. So the collection is called Tombs. And this is like the, I don't know, maybe the third or fourth story in, possibly. It's not very long in, like I said, but I was very interested in it when I came across it in the collection because of the cover of it, of this specific tale. It looked weird, like a weird odd woman there, and like she's looking out the window, and it's creepy looking. So I was like, yeah, let me check this one out. You know, I try to read them in order of their end, but it's not really overly relevant that I read them in order or anything like that, but I usually do. So once I got to this one, I was like, okay, this one looks really interesting and possibly creepy. And it did deliver on that. So I really don't have anything to say about being interested in Junji Ito stuff. I am a fan through and through. So I watch usually his animated versions that come out, and that's all it really takes. Like, I look at his animated stuff. I have his books. I have only about 9 or 10 of his books. I still have about 12 or 13 that I'm planning to purchase. So when I do get all the rest of them, I'll do a video of my Junji Ito collection. So anyway, there's not much priming to do today because I'm so deep into Junji Ito stuff. it's not much to tell why I got interested in this tale. So I'm primed as I'm going to be, and let's go ahead and jump in to the window next door. Going back into the story and getting started, his mother, Hiroshi's mother, suggests that they go to the neighbors next door on each side to, and meet them, being neighborly. She has like something to give them, things like that. So when they head out of their home and go towards the first house, Hiroshi recognizes that there's only one window on the one house. And it's upstairs, like the second floor or whatever, but there's no windows on the lower floor. And he said to his mother, there's also no window on the other side of the house either. So it's kind of creepy. His mother's like, oh, Hiroshi, like, stop being weird. So they ring the bell, and there's no answer. Big surprise, right? So, they give up because there's no answer. So she's like, well, maybe they're not home. Maybe they're at work or something. So she goes on, and her and Hiroshi go over to the other neighbor's house on the other side of them. And, yeah, the woman's very nice, and she's like, oh, that's nice of you. She's giving her like a casserole or something like that from the looks of it. I don't know. So she's like, oh, that's very nice of you. She asks the neighbor on the left, do you know anything about the Numagis? Which I assume she must have got the name from the mailbox or something like that. Imagine they do get mail. And the neighbor says, well, she asks if they're home during the day or whatever. And then the neighbor's like, well, I've never actually seen anyone over there. Creepiness setting in already. I've never actually seen anyone over there, and I've lived here for 10 years. And I usually just, see like a shadow up in the window sometimes. Nightmare next door. It's already starting. So she's like, oh, okay. And poor Hiroshi's like, why do we have to move here? That's what my boy must be thinking. But anyway, so, they go home, and then she tells the father about, like, she had no answer there and then such, and he's like, okay, well, okay, like, he doesn't care. And then Hiroshi, like, finishes up his dinner real quick, and he gets to get up, and his mom says, oh, you finished already? And he's like, well, I want to get my room unpacked, he just moved in, whatever. And so she's like, okay, well, he goes upstairs, and then he's like, I guess he's gonna start doing some packing stuff, but he, like, looks and opens his window, and the window that's only on that other house is right directly across from his bedroom window. So he's like, I don't know if I like that so much, but I mean, what can I do? Like, it's where the window is. It's not like I can move it or something. I wish I could, probably, he's thinking. This creepy stuff is about to go down. Before I go any further, I'm just letting you know now, this is pretty much going to be spoiler, because it's a little hard not to spoil short stories if you haven't read this, because I'm kind of just going through the story. So if you just want to read this on your own and you don't want to hear any of the details of it, though still seeing it is believing. Because it is drawings and things. It's a manga style, so you obviously want to still get it and view it and such. But I'm just warning you now, like, I'm not really holding back on much because it's a short story. These are short stories that I'm covering, so I can't really avoid much, in this case. So anyway, you've been warned. So if you don't feel comfortable, you want, like, I want to just read it all on my own, then you have your fair warning to get out now. Still here? Okay then. So after that, he does his thing. I'm sure he does his unpacking. I don't really go into that too much. And then he goes to bed. Then they have like a little sequence where there's like you see the nightfall, and he's asleep. But then all of a sudden, he hears a voice saying, young man, are you there, young man? Like, dude, no. It's coming from outside, across the way, from the window. The voice is coming from the window across the way, like the creepy one window house. So it sounds like a woman, like an older woman's like calling him. So Hiroshi's like sits up, and then he hears the voice go, "Are you asleep, young man?" If I wasn't, or if I was, I wouldn't be now. Or if I wasn't, I wouldn't tell you. Like, you sound creepy as all get out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even, I can't. I can't. I'm just like, no. No, miss, leave me alone. Hiroshi, after being creeped out a little bit, he gets closer to the window, because the window's like right at his bed. And he slides the window open a little bit and peeps out. And in the freaking window across the way is this terrible looking, don't want to say person, like it's a monster. Bumpy to the point of obviously this is some kind of plague, but like demonic plague on this thing's skin. And it has like a short bowl wig on, because to me, I don't think it's its hair, because it looked like it probably would be bald or have like demon horns under there. I don't know. Either way, it's like a bowl cut, and then it has like long fingers, and its nails are done like it was trying to get prettied up or something, like it was going to go on a date. Like, ew. And then it has like all these rings on its finger. I think Hiroshi's in trouble, because I think it's like interested in him. And the way it's coming out of the window, like leaning, like its hand is around part of the window, like holding it, and it's like it's coming out of, like, it's creepy. It's creepy. So he's like, his face is just like completely, oh my god, what the hell is that? That's like, he knows this is not earthly. This thing is, no, this is bad. This is bad. So it's like, how do you like your new house and stuff? And like, oh, how are you tonight? Like a person meeting you, like a person met you on a bus stop or something, or like on a train, and they just trying to make light conversation because they somewhat interested in you or something. Like, it's very weird and creepy. Okay, so I'm like, oh man, Hiroshi done caught the eye of the wrong one this time. Hiroshi's just staring in terror at this thing, and it's like, oh, why don't you come over sometime? But what? What? Even if you looked normal, this would be very odd. Like, if you weren't a monster, this would still be odd, that you coming in the window at night, in the middle of the night, and like talking about me coming over, and then it's like, I'll be waiting for you with the door unlocked. Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to relax, okay? Like, listen. Trying to get a young man over here. I don't know what's happening. Hiroshi's like, and closes the window, and it had zoomed in on the thing's grill. Like, it has a messed up grill. Like, its drool is coming out of its mouth. Like, I'm hungry, gonna eat you later. Like, and the bumps are like just in this around the thing. Oh, chills. It's gross. It's disgusting. Like, I can't. So he's freaked out royally. I mean, who wouldn't be at this point? And then he like slams the window, like I said, and then he's like, oh my, what? I guess he goes back to sleep. Like, I don't know if I guess he goes back to sleep, I assume, because they kind of skip to the next day. But like, I don't know if I would have been able to sleep after that thing. Like, he locks the window, but still, like, it's obviously not human, so it could maybe do something to get in. I don't know. Maybe it needs to be invited. That seems very plausible. So then he goes to school the next day while glancing, keeping the freaking house in his view. He's like, obviously, I have no desire to go there. I don't know if the door was unlocked or not, but I'm going about my business. Like, no, lady, whatever you are. So he goes, and then it goes into the night again. Young man is back. Okay. Creepy as ever and back. Of course, Hiroshi like wakes up like, oh my god, no, that thing is not calling me again. It's like, young man, are you there? Are you awake? Like, but if I was asleep, who could sleep with your creepy? It's like, let me see your face. Perhaps I should come visit over there. What? And since it doesn't get a response, it's like, well, okay, then I'll come right over now. See, I knew it. And then Hiroshi's like, what did she say? And he jumps up and creaks the window open. This thing is putting a pole across from its window to Hiroshi's window. Like it's about to find a way across there and climb over. This is beyond Nightmare Next Door. It's like, young man, grab onto the laundry pole so I can cross over. He's like, what? And then like it's pushing the pole, and then the pole hits like the ledge of the window, and Hiroshi's like, yeah, like pushes and pushes the pole off of his window ledge, and it falls between the houses down to the ground below. And then the thing's like, oh no, what? Like looking like it's shocked. Like, oh yeah, I want you to come over here and eat my soul. Hiroshi quickly closes and locks the window and runs downstairs like, Tosa, Kasa! Like, my boy is yelling for his mom and dad. They like he opened the door. They're like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "The woman next door, like she creepy, and she come to the window and stuff." And he's like, "Oh, you gotta come up here and see that." They're like, "Okay, well, at least they did. I'll give them credit for that. At least they came up there to see what's going on." Some people, kids, be telling them stuff and they don't believe them. Like, always listen to your kids. Like, even if you want to take it easy on suspecting, but you should listen to them because some creepy could be going on anyway. So they go upstairs to the bedroom and they look out the window. The window next door is closed. He's like, she was right there in the pole. She tried to put over there and it fell down below. And the mother's like, there's nothing down there on the ground either. He said, well, she must have ran out and got it. And the father's like, not convinced at all at this point. The mother's like, maybe we should call the police, maybe something. Like, she's kind of believing him, like, maybe, like, and as well as, like, we're not doing that pretty much, like, no. And he's like, I'm not making it up. But they decide that Hiroshi can sleep downstairs for a while, and they will sleep upstairs in his bedroom, since he's totally freaked out. I mean, his parents are pretty cool, actually. Like, they looking out for him, even if, like, his father didn't necessarily completely believe him. His mom seemed to believe him a little bit more, but they still was trying to help him, and then some time passes and the old woman thing doesn't show up again. She's not at the window. She's not being like there, like at all, like it never happened. So I was like, maybe you should just go ahead back up in the room. Seems to be fine. Plus, it's quiet for you to do your studies. And he's like, well, I guess so. So he goes back to stay up in the room. Well, guess what? That night she showed up again. Hiroshi's like, that night, like, he opens the window, and he's like, when he goes back up, they open the window, and he looks, there's nothing. She's not there or anything yet, because it's daytime. First off, she don't show up until night. And then he's like, well, she definitely wouldn't show up, like, tonight. Like, I just got back up here. Like, there's no way that she would just be like, hi, I'm back immediately. But Hiroshi, my boy, if she's that creepy and she's doing that, I don't think she's just magically gonna stop. And apparently she can, like, sense when it's him in the room, because hence she would have showed up when his parents were there, but, like, she didn't at all. So anyway, he goes to bed. Then, of course, young man, I haven't seen you in a while. Are you okay? Are you there, young man? And he's like, so Hiroshi's like listening, like, damn it, like, you know, she's back, and then she's like, I'm gonna come over, just give me a minute to read you, and then they show like a sequence where she's reaching her creepy, bumpy monster hands across the way, and she's like, I'm almost there, just a little reach a little bit more, I can't reach, I can't reach, almost reach you. Her hands like right there at the window, and like you can hear like, I'm gonna try to knock, and she's like reaching, and he's like, oh my god, like she could get it. It shows that her hands are right at his window, and you're like, okay, well, house is not that close. There is space between the houses, so the houses are not that close. So I really don't like. You trying to understand, like, okay, well, obviously she has like Fantastic Four powers or something, like Scratchy Dude, and like stretching her freaking arms across the freaking way, like. What is happening? Hiroshi's sitting up on the bed, and he's like, well, she does actually manage to reach the window. I mean, I could call my dad, but she'll probably be gone by the time we get up here. Hiroshi's like, I'll just punch her out the window. He said he'll punch her out the window, like if she actually manages to reach. She doesn't seem to reach, but he's thoroughly freaked out as he would be. So the next day, like, I guess she gives up because she can't really reach the window. The window itself is scratched across the alley, the little short alley between the homes. And her window is within, I don't know, a couple feet of his window. That's how her hands were so close. And it's like flesh. It's fleshy. Like the building became fleshy. The side of her house became fleshy, and the window came out and is right there near his. And he said, obviously, we talking tonight, we're going to move and get out of here. Like, and that's how it ends. So hopefully they got out of there before she decides she's going to come in there and eat him. Because I don't know, if they wait another night, she probably will come through that window and eat everybody. Like, so that's how it ends. Creepy as hell. Like, no one wants a neighbor that's like that. Like, ugh. And I'm going to have to flash a picture of this thing. Like, you got to see it. Look at this thing. Would you want that thing talking to you? Like, what? I mean, look at it. No. Moving right along into the next short tale. I read Fashion Model from the Junji Ito collection, Shiver. So, this is one of my favorite characters in Junji Ito's story series. Fuchi is the creature in question here. It's getting in my hair, y'all. So Fuchi is the creature in question here, and I really, excuse me from looking away from you because I'm putting on this foundation. Fuchi is the creature, and she's very, very, very creepy. And this one's called Fashion Model because she's a freaking fashion model. And we already covered a premiere, priming for the premiere. I'm already almost done here. But I still want to do a little intro. I came across Fuchi long before I've ever had this book. I saw the Fuchi animated version of the Fashion Model, and I so happened when I bought Shiver found out that this story was in that collection, but I had seen the anime film before I actually read it. So I will take it in every form because I think it's really good. But yeah, that's what I was interested in. That's how I see it years and years before I ever owned this book. So anyway, tipping my hat to Junji for this Fuchi tale because Fuchi is messed up. Our tale starts off with our main character. They don't give his name right away, so I'm not going to say anything yet on that. I don't know if they ever gave his name, actually, to be honest with you. So he's like having one of those days where he just feels off. He feels like something bad's going to happen, and he's had it happen before, but he gets a bad feeling and something bad happens. Like he got hit by a car one time, apparently, he says. So he's feeling bad, so he walks into a pole this morning. So I guess other bad things could occur in this day. But he finally does make it to the cafe he was headed to, sits down, like he takes a smoke. And then he's still thinking in his head, like, I feel this feel is getting worse. So then he glances over, and there's a magazine on the tabletop. And he picks it up and starts flipping through it. He flips to a page that has this weird, creepy looking woman on it. Like her face is really long, but her eyes are focused as if she's looking out the page at him. Very creepy. Like little teeny tiny pupils and like little red lines in her eyes, like she hadn't slept in eternity. Haven't slept for eternity. And he's like, oh, the what? Like, he just feels like the creepiness coming from the actual freaking page. Like, so, like, it's almost like she's there looking at him. That's how freaking creepy that he's getting from just this picture alone. This is Fuji. If you haven't seen fashion model Junji Ito's, you need to check it out. Like, look at the anime version, read this in the book. This is again in Shiver collection. You can get it off Amazon. But anyway, let's go ahead. So the main character's like keeps flipping, and she's like featured in the magazine on a few pages. And every time he looks, she's worse and worse. Like, he's like, what is this? Like, is this a regular magazine? Like, all the other models are normal? Like, why? Like, how did she even become a model? Like, because she looks like a freaking monster from another world. This is not. We're not playing. This is a fact, okay? So he's like, ugh. And then the one picture he lands on, she's like smiling. But she has like billions of teeth in her mouth, which you'll hear about later. And then he's like, ugh, and like throws the magazine and like continues his day or whatever. Then it shows like he went, you know, when he's going to bed and stuff like that. And he's like dreaming, having nightmares about her. Like, I mean, for anyone to see that picture, they probably would have nightmares. So he's like, oh, I can't sleep and stuff. And then he ended up meeting up with his friends, who again has a filming production company. So they hire models sometimes for stuff. So this is where the story starts really taking off. Even though the short story takes off right around this point. So he's telling his friend all about Fuji. And he knows her name yet, I don't believe at this point. But he's like telling him about like I can't sleep and stuff, and he's like, well, you know, maybe if you just saw her in person. He's like, I definitely don't want to do that. Like, if you maybe meet, like, maybe if you just get used to her or something, or something, then maybe you can. He said, I don't want to get used to that. Like, no. And he said she's gradually like getting worse in my mind. Like, he's totally freaked out, like completely, and like nightmaring about this thing. And he asks him like, oh, well, you haven't been to school in a while. And have you been working on a script? So this is where we find out like they're making a film or whatever. So he goes about his way and whatever. He's freaked out early. It's not getting any better. Then they eventually have a meeting a couple days later or whatever, to check out the models that they are looking to hire for their film or shoot or whatever. So he said script. So obviously a film that they're working on trying to do. So he's looking at pictures of models once they meet at the cafe. He's still having a rough time. Let's not lie. He didn't get any better with it. So don't ask me why. But his friend, man. I mean, with friends like this guy, who needs enemies in this case? Like, I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking. It wasn't the best laid plan. They are doing the looking at the envelopes of the entries of the models that sent in for the parts and such. And so they still have to do the auditions and things. And he's like, oh, we forgot one. That's what his friend says. And then he like pulls the envelope out, and it's the picture of Fuji. Okay? And he's like, like, that's the model. And his friend's like, what's wrong, Itsukawa? And he's like, that's her. That's the freaking model I was talking about. Like, he's like, what? Really? Because they were looking at, like, what is this? Like, even they can see, like, it's a monster. Like, why would you hire anyone that looks like that? I'm sorry. But, like, this is a demon. This is not a person. That's not even a lie. Like, you better off just avoiding at this point. You haven't met him. But, like, it's like somehow she saw him through the magazine. That's what it had to be. Like, how did she know to send it to his friend's production, like him working with the... I'm telling you, that's what it had to be. Creepy as that is to think about. She saw him through the magazine. His friend is like, well, that's weird. Why would a big name model, like, because she's supposed to be a big name model. She's in a big name magazine before. So why would a big name model, like, even contact amateurs like us? Like, hello, ding, 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 red flag. Like, yeah. Anyway, he's like, maybe we should do this. Maybe we should just, like, hire her and the pretty girl, he says. And... then like her look is different, and you know you don't have many people around with individual look like her. And he's like, stop playing around. His friend is somehow convinced like if he meets her in person, then he'll calm down. He won't be as bad because he saw the picture of her in the book. So if he meets her, then it won't be as bad as that. And it's just like he's blowing it out of proportion. Like, he clearly can see the picture and why his friend would freak out. But okay. So they hire Fuchi at the meeting. Like when she comes in, when they're coming for the audition to meet the models, whatever, she's all like, her face is super long. She's like staring, death stare right at him. Like, man, he's so in trouble. He's so in trouble. So like he's looking up at her like, cause he's sitting down. She's super tall too, by the way, like super super tall, like abnormally tall. Big surprise. She's a demon. But anyway, so she's looking down like, this is a tasty morsel. I guess I'm gonna have me some yummy dessert later. Like, I think she's into him. This is weird. But anyway, so she's like, la la la, and then they hire her, and then they head off to start doing the shoot. So on the way, they're like in one of those buses that can hold everybody. It's like 1, 2, 3. I think 3 other dudes, then the main character, and Fuchi, and the other female model that they hired. So that many people, they're in the bus, like it's a small minivan, whatever, and they're driving, and then they're talking, and he's like, oh man, I wish we could just get there already, because I can't breathe in here. And she's like sitting behind his seat, like super tall, like, and then somebody says something. Like if you're creeped out by somebody, like making jokes or insinuating things, not the best laid plan. But anyway, they say something like, well, his friend's like, innocently, I believe, in his case, he's like, well, we're going to the mountains and, you know, the fresh air and stuff like that, it'll fit the script, blah blah blah. And then one of the other people lean forward and they're like, so what is this, like seclusion because it's like a horror movie? And then everyone cuts their eye at Fuchi. And I don't know what possessed the main character to do like that. Like he laughing because she looked like a big demon monster, so she would fit in a horror movie. And then the girl in the back's like, hee hee hee. The pretty one. And then the other one dude next to the girl in the back says, oh, that's rich. And then Fuchi goes, hee 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 hee, and starts laughing like, but then she really gets into it. And her 17 rows of teeth show. She's like, and then make her like, huh? Like that. And then like, oh my god, like the and she starts laughing and her mouth opens, and then like the saliva between the teeth is like she really has like multiple rows of teeth, like sharp piranha, baraka, Mortal Kombat type of Melina stuff going on. And it's like that shut them all up. I'm just saying. They'll get to the site where they're going to be shooting, which is like secluded in the woods and mountains. That's a good idea. Take a monster there so they can eat you. Anyway, so they're like all huddled a little bit, like a few of them like, did you see that? Is she even human? Like, what do you think? So anyway, and Fuchi's over there like looking at people like she want to eat that dude, and then his friend's like, I think she's into you, man. Like, dude, this is not the time to be cracking no jokes and stuff, first off, because y'all in danger right now. Like, you're in danger. Like, serious danger. Like, you're out here in a secluded area with a monster. Like, you think it's gonna happen? Like, I was like, I wonder if someone's gonna catch me if I eat them all alive. Meantime, the director, who's his friend who was talking to before, he's like talking up to the female. Like, he's pretty much deciding he's gonna give her like the role, the main lead role. So he can give her the lead role. And then, like, Fuchi sitting in her long chair with her arms folded. And then the male lead was like, I'm going off to, I need to get some air, whatever. Like, I guess away from them because he's out in there. So he's like, I need to go by myself a little bit. So he walks off into the woods a little bit. And then, within, like, I don't know, a minute, if that, Fuchi's behind him. He's like, so he starts running. Why she start chasing him? I'll tell you why. Because she's monster. So she starts chasing him like ooh, and like holding her long dress up and like moving real fast. He's like, oh my god, like, and then he ducks behind a tree, right, and sees her eyes very focused and stuff, so she runs right past him, and he's like, oh my god, and gets back to the freaking like camp or whatever where they stopped at. And then he's like, she was chasing me, man, what's wrong with her? And then she shows up there like staring at him like. So anyway, they're starting to film and do all that stuff. Like, there's no way I would have stayed there. They start filming and everything. They're filming the girl a little bit more because obviously she's not a monster. Duh. So then Fuchi has a problem with that. She's like, hey. And then the director's like, yeah. It's like, you've been filming her for a while now. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm sure her voice isn't like that. It's very feminine something, but I don't remember right. Either way, she's creepy. There's, I guess they said we're taking a break or whatever because Fuchi's upset. And he's like, well, we'll film your part. Sorry, your part's important too, Fuchi. We'll film your parts after the break or whatever. So like I said, they go off take a break. I guess the girl decides she can go use the bathroom or whatever. And then Fuchi must have disappeared too. They had decided they were going to hurry up and shoot, and then they said, let's end this relationship with her because it's getting really weird. Yeah, it's too late for that. Like, and then all of a sudden, one of the other friends just runs up like, oh my god, Fuchi, like, she's eating Tommy. Like, and they're like, what? She's like, jump, she's eating her. Like, ah, he's freaked out. I to follow him to where it was happening. Like, oh my god, there's blood. There's nothing of her left because there's just blood. So Fuchi shows up right then, covered in blood, like all splattered on her face. Her eyes like, she's wiping off the blood, like, dude. So Fuchi's there, and she is like, oh, oh, I'm the protagonist now. So they're like, ah! They start screaming and trying to run. She not having that, like, oh, wait for me. And then she grabs the one dude and then like bites right into his neck, and then the other ones are all running off. Of course the girl's been eaten, and then they like, the main lead like falls, and like, wait, to the other dudes who like, they just took off, they gone. And then they're like they're like, they like take off, and he's like on the ground, he's like, oh no, and she's like, now we're finally alone, and it ends like that. Well, obviously, she probably ate him. I think I heard that she, like, made him stay with her, and she had, like, a kid with him, and then I think at some point she ate him or whatever, or he tried to escape or something. I don't want to say that she raped him, but that's very possible, because it's Fuchi after all. Like, he couldn't possibly overpower her. She's massively creepy. So, yeah, that didn't end well for him. We all can imagine that it's over for him. Rather, she ended up making him marry her and have a baby with her and then eat him later, or eat him then. Either way, my boy, his life was over. So, again, we can just conclude that that's what happened. I mean, that was it for him. So, I really like Fuchi. I think is a very creepy character to have, and she's apparently in multiple tales. It's not the only one. I heard that she's married to Souchi, which is another one of his creepy characters, and so that's funny. Which actually, Souichi has a book coming out. He's on the lead cover of the next collection that comes out in July 25th from Junji Ito. But this one's been out in Japan for a minute. We're just getting it finally translated here, which I probably could have bought the Japanese one a while ago, but I just wasn't aware that the collection came out. So anyway, I have it pre-ordered, so once I have that one, I'll probably be covering more Fuchi and Souichi stories, for sure. But I enjoyed both the neighbor next door, the window next door, and fashion model. Both very creepy, good time. Let me show you a picture of Fuchi, just in case you've never seen her. Here's a picture of Fuchi. Obviously, this is her. So yeah, definitely worth being afraid of. So yeah, I really did enjoy both of those. Very great, very good. Junji Ito approved. He never disappoints anyway. I really like his stuff. So again, check these out if you haven't seen them. Check out the collections. There's plenty of other stories in there. All very good. Different tastes, different type of horror. Some okay to lead live, some the lead did not live type of endings, but all well worth a read and check out. So this is also my final look. I decided to go with purple type of look today. Purple is my color. I love indigo. It's my favorite color, which is a purple blue, but I decided to go with purples today. Anyway, I really did enjoy these. I hope you enjoyed the video of Mistress Mood and Candlelight this week, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay scared.